Hello, Mexico and Canada. People from all these different countries, including Mexico and Canada, are involved with people from that used to live on my street and involved with wire crimes and Weathersfield police. And people from the area involved with everyone speaking to others, and they repeat fake things to themselves and to other people, and then they ask them questions about it and repeat it. The Weathersfield police, also with the news, has been doing this. It's people on off the WFSB in West Rocky Hill, on off the Fox Connecticut News in Hartford, on off the WTNH in New Haven. These are people involved with wire crime acts and methods with Weathersfield Police and other police departments with the same house too. Personally and professionally, criminally involved with them. Attaching little kids to fake conversations with doctors. There are only about 300, 500 streets in Hartford. And they're stealing with just individuals, millions through time under the guise of healthcare. They're putting fake conversations with people, fake transcripts to use investigators remotely. They have roles personally and professionally with judges and prosecutors. The same names involve time collusions with evidences, crimes with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and people putting fake things in transcripts of databases. But we have to follow mandated law. Otherwise, it looks like we're talking about each other. They go back and forth with sides of cases to make mistakes on purpose. These are people involved seating juries with the mental health community that is tactically delusions, raw, criminally foreign influence, and all kinds of natures of federal evidence crime and scams with them, including judges. There are various natures of courts, including as probate courts, superior courts, Connecticut District Court, increasingly involved. Like, in other words, that's how they have the elderly homes as sick as they are. When we have means like that to help our elderly, but not through these sick systems, and not through people pretending that's what they're doing. In other words, the rat trap, we're going to lift it like that better than free. And we're going to have peace in the world because, in other words, they owe more. You know how much money they've been stealing under the guise of health care? A whole bunch of people tied to these names with the Weathersfield Police, Sullivan and Colella, and Officer Jerry Miller. A whole bunch of judges and prosecutors involved with the name Kerr too, and tomorrow, and Officer Jerry Miller recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed the name Jerry Kerr, involved with him planting evidences on the right side of my house. I mean, on the northern side of my house. And those are also people on all sides of my house, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, planting fake motivations too, for the roles planting fake evidences, because there are foreign bodies involved and people associated with body dumping spots increasingly, and confessions tied to things associated with murders and time collusions with it. Increasingly, for example, people on off the state judicial branch opposite conjunctions to it and adjacent to it also have roles recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, even on Facebook, with people on off Two Rod Highway and where it runs into Hangdog Lane, who are increasingly involved with a former Mayor Gold, who recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. He influenced people with the name Joe Dennis and John Dennis to roles with him. John Dennis recorded, and Joe Dennis has something to do with spots along the Route 175, including a bar there that has something to do with prosecutors and judges and foreign and domestic military and people with the intelligence community all around there, and involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, planting evidences. Mike Roberts and Eric Jensen also have roles with people planting evidence along Route 175 who are involved with child offenders, with state police increasingly involved with their confessions. I only know them planting evidences with state police, all kinds of ways, increasingly. So Eric Jensen has grandparents and neighbors involved also as with various natures of federal crimes before they were caught, who also have roles as co-defendants of former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and their family members, involved increasingly each year of my life putting fake things in databases against me, fake ties to other people, including doctors. The WFSB pretend I had ties to mental health care doctors when I was a kid. These are sick people. How much money they're stealing, and pretending to be against such too. And Anthony Yagman has roles with all kinds of doctors, work criminal enterprises and private ones, and people associated with the Department of Transportation and on all sides of schools planting evidences in intercities. These are people with Kensington, Berlin, involved with the intelligence community. In other words, so get them on one name and paper. In other words, I believe it. So I believe that might have been on Wayne too. They're one of the ones with Griswold Street. Griswold Street has something to do with Hartford Hospital, with some untimely death rolls, including a girl who was reportedly dragged to her death and then dropped off on Jordan at the corner of Jordan and Lane and Ridge Road. And that's right near that Stop and Shop there. There are managers of the Stop and Shops. And since before it was Stop and Shop, it's nothing against Stop and Shop, nothing personal, involved with the people on my street, with the confessions, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. People from Mobile Gas Station in Weathersfield and Rocky Hill sought me out to make confessions regarding this, including the roles of Pakistan with these names at those locations, who were planting evidences, not planting evidences in my area, and roles with home break-ins. Heather Hansen has roles with home people involved with home break-ins increasingly, with wire crimes in Weathersfield police, and people at the business, the offices, and the bursar's office, at Central Connecticut State University with this Detective Samuda, too, involved with the FBI in the courts, planting evidences with a Dean Judd and Justa Kovinskis and this Mark Violet, and people from UConn, increasingly involved with these names. Also, people from UConn associated with John Scully. It has people. These are people on Facebook who have recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed roles with the body dumping spot of Billy Grosso, and roles with them with federal evidences crimes, and people that were seen around me, and he said, she said, regarding people tied to me with the boxing gyms who are involved with Central Connecticut State University, has people involved with investigators tied to people associated with, and as Billy Grosso. And so the murder spots were reported just differently by the newspaper locations involved and the timing of those different descriptions of it, because these are all increasingly people involved. Also with Cromwell locations and mayors involved by identity theft, fraud, slanders with their family members, trying to pretend motivations and to believe things on Facebook because of what's actually recorded. See, these are being coached because they have a lawyer, also a Robert Chevrolet, is one of the lawyers, a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. He's involved with names next to it. He's involved with names at conjunctions and adjacents to his lawyer's office, which is not far from the state capitol. It is also not far from the Harry Beecher Stowe Mark Twain House, which is increasingly one of the places involved with on and off campuses planting evidences that a whole bunch of different countries in Central Connecticut State University have roles with. And it's also them pretending it's personal. We have to love our campuses and be able to speak about what's true and what's good or bad, honestly. See, they're putting fake transcripts. They're also making confessions offensively, where communications is distinct from what is said, and what is communicated is in many ways is greater than, more finite than, well, as the value of what is said. So, but you have to understand, when you guys were little kids, you had other than proper logic experts speaking for you. I'm not even a doctor. I will delineate the delusions from their criminally formed influence, factor, nature, quality aspects of nature here now. Now there's a Parker English, who's one of the ones involved with the people leading up to the World Trade Center attack in Manhattan. From Connecticut, I didn't see him in Manhattan, but it has something to do with spots along Walker Hill Road and in Wethersfield, or a guy who looks just like him. But also, he had relative delusions and and games with the grades and why he said, she said. And these are people putting fake evidences, also fake transcripts. On Trinity College, I never saw Eric Burgess in my life. I never had anything to do with the Dean Judd or his son. They made confessions to me and confirmations off campus, and I didn't respond to it. In other words, and requests to help before that from the military involved. So these are also people involved with Kuwaiti generals. So increasingly, a Ray Reynolds and a Ray Cololo and people tied to him and a Joe DeMoro know by name. They're involved with the military, Navy, intercities, the Army, the Marines, and foreign countries. They attach increasingly there are confessions tied to these people, like a Ray Reynolds, involved also with Luigi Guerrero and relatives of his, and people associated with Luigi Guerrero with federal evidences, crimes, interstates, roles. And I never had a class with him in my life. In other words, increasingly people involved with child offenders too. And these are people on off election locations. So they have the right to lie, usually they don't have the right to lie. That's also what James Comey is one of the ones who is one of the FBI, involved with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants with this. And the wire crime acts and methods of Wethersfield police refusing to get on paper and leaking this stuff. Like their roles with names at 3 spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike. Increasingly, the intelligence community has judges, family members, foreign and domestic, and prosecutors' family members involved with those 3 spots at the end of the perm type, trying to make fake ties to me, fake nature ties to me, making pictures to look like that. That's what they do, because these are people that plan on all sides of criminal and civil cases, and the interbranch sticking fake things in databases, criminally foreign influence uses of investigators since pounding drums. We're going to answer why and how. In other words, you guys can get away with pretending integrity spoke or science with not even a fraction of integrity spoke for New York City. They're in a trap distinctly from the suburbs that were invented before our founders were born. And we're going to deal with the torture, extortion, and slavery of our founders in the face of James Madison first, and then how it came and George Washington agreed to use their plan. And they had the counter-extort to make the rest of the founders. Here, let's see, president/chief. The Native Americans had already been sustained needs to argue with each other about how to respond to what no since semi-ancient times to respond to properly, because it forced, tricked, hurt, persuaded people to blame other things other than themselves for things the breaching method caused, and then to defend that. And then they propagated that, self-cultivated. So you have styles, needs, and natures that can't afford to be discerned. What little kids can discern, what they would have revealed. 2, how many times, people use the style of pretending to see information, or what's your research, or the fact that they have research, it means something. Black pupils. Here, get them on paper, one name and sequence. You're going to see what the World Trade Center is about. Increasingly, people from Connecticut on off the state judicial branch offices, Wethersfield Pizza, for example. Wethersfield Pizza has a Stephen Stocco involved with the confessions of others, and he demonstrated it true. But the Wethersfield police made the confession for him. I don't even have a conversation with him. Never had a conversation with my life. I just called up and asked if Maria was there, because they brought that up too. And he called the police. I don't know what he said to them because I never had a conversation with him before that either. I noticed him at Central one time, only time I saw him. Something to do with Central Connecticut State University in Connecticut and involve intercities with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and had people from every school I went to involved with other people attaching everyone to fake change words, fake ties to each other. Then they're lying about what people think about others when we have to use their names because you won't get them onto paper. So get them on paper, one name in sequence. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Stop leaking. And O'Neill was also brought up by recorded and by the intelligence community and their family members. They have roles with West Hartford locations. There's a West Hartford. There's a park associated with the people that associated with the courts and the depositions of former director of the FBI Robert Lusk and his co-defendants involved with. Usually when courts are involved with depositions, it's like because the person's inside prison. This is a civil RICO case, Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, that has people that went to schools I went, and people and their parents as the co-defendants of former director of the FBI, as the people who were leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context, and since they forced Saudis to collusions with them. They kept the forcing confessions from my Saudi friend. And in other words, that's why we're not even friends anymore. Increasingly, a Scalora family and a DeMoro family have roles with home break-ins and wire crimes of Wethersfield police with Saudi families and people with the name Scalora involved with it, per the confessions of Wethersfield police, who are refusing, they're switching and forging names though. They have roles with other departments. Increasingly, people from Hartford Hospital made confessions and to make it look like I had conversations with them. They brought up the name D. Simone in a statement, a Brit, a guy named Britt. Now, I think it was a nurse. God knows what his thing. In other words, and these are people that are black themed and KKK themed, involved with Hartford Hospital and with judges and prosecutors. The Judge Kelly and two tactically delusions raw. The judges with mental health. You know how many drugs and medicines crimes they have? And natures of organized crime their family members have. Increasingly, a whole bunch of brothers in a Delaferro family have roles planting evidences with a whole bunch of names on off 2 Route Highway and Hangdog Lane with people on my street with the name Cololo, also planting evidences with judges since they were kids in the Wethersfield police. That and Chris Walters and Ray Close said they have roles with a Charlie Bose and his sister with on off the town line. What is it called? Old Town Cafe, with people also on off Trinity College through time, attach me to fake ties, fake natures of ties to other people. They have roles of people planting evidences from Trinity College and with child offenders, and their roles with uses of words like maturity, fake motivations for it too. They'll get them on paper, one name in sequence. Let's get them on paper, please. Someone tell Judge Napolitano, please, get on paper with the Fox Connecticut News. Have WFSB attach me to fake and the people, the security on off their locations. They pretend not to understand people. Get me off the fake conversations with you. Give me a response for the principal child abuser's confessions and all the digital crimes you guys have, putting fake emails with me, fake conversations with me, fake letters. There's a Joshua Stryker also involved with Dean Alford, with the same people involved with murders and untimely deaths on all Trinity College, with this Joshua Stryker, identity theft, fraud, slander, who grew up lying about himself and others. Little fake, wasn't even in my grade. I never saw him around. One exception, I had nothing to do with him that night. And when I spoke on Facebook about it, they lied about what they think about that. That's why I spoke that too, because you can't get them on paper. Since I was a kid, they're playing games, planting evidences with an Oliveri family too at Trinity College. Increasingly, they have some girl there woman now, I don't even know her name, increasingly tied to people on Church Street in Old Weathersfield, involved with all kinds of natures of drugs and medicines, crimes with the kids, rapes with them, and something to do with their roles with unmarked police forms and pretending it's only about that. They have real roles with even sexual on Facebook. So increasingly, the police forms with the schools too. They have police for some guy, John, who is a security guard, and they have others. They have family members that years ago when I was in Weathersfield High School make up fake ties to me. Oh, but that's just the way we do. We pretend we know you. No, all along Route 3, this guy's got people tied to him, planting evidences, and on off the state, on off Town Line Drive locations. Increasingly, with as people associated with the family members of Joseph Lieberman, also per their confessions at Central Connecticut State University. People intercultural and intracultural. These are also people. Mazzucato Bakery increasingly has roles of people with the English department, with Weathersfield Police Chief and his extended family member, as them too. In other words, planting evidences forming the domestic military leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context, and since from Connecticut, because they are being and have been used remotely, criminally, foreign influence, tactical delusions, raw. That's why it's important to get things on paper. There's also a Jamie Carone, a Mark Carone, a Kevin Carone. They're teachers involved with the Parks Intercities. Has something to do with people on parks and sexual circles associated with Mark Violet and people that DMC and the Department of Motor Vehicles and the Department of Transportation involved with identity theft, fraud, claims. Also at religious spots and their roles of planting evidences on parks, fake ties to me. In other words, they took a picture. I had no communications with them. In other words, they might have taken a picture of me near them one time there. That's what was implied because we have his own words. These are people that are increasingly doing that, planting evidences with the people forging and switching names. And between each campus I went, and why is it keep being brought up by other people that you guys, even from other countries? Fear God. Get on paper with fix the news about the World Trade Center too.